Welcome back. We are in the garage today working on this pink Escalade. This is my niece's Escalade. It had Traxxas 550 motors in it. Those work really well on 12 volts. They burn up pretty fast on 18 volts. So they burnt up because we're running dual rigid 20 volt batteries. We run two in parallel. We just run a single 10 gauge for this setup back to Peanut Workshop speed controller. This speed controller was installed by my wife, who is a registered nurse. So if you're worried about not being able to install this yourself, she did install it using me as the support, but she used it sending messages through Facebook Messenger as every other customer does. We have 23 tooth pinion gear gearboxes in here with the 887 motors that we're selling. These do go pretty fast on 20 volts with 23 tooth pinion gears and the big wheels. The Escalade comes with pretty good size wheels. Everything else in this car is stock, so we want to put a variable pedal in it. It's got a bit of power with the big motors, and it just likes to spin without the variable pedal. So we're going to get that done today. It's usually pretty quick. Pretty basic tools most people have. Recommend Dremel tool, meter, wire cutters, wire strippers. Need a pedal. This is how they come from us. They come with a connector on it. You're gonna have to cut and strip those wires to use our controller with that style pedal. We also have these pedal adapter plates. Those make the install of the pedal a lot easier. There's 3 screw holes on the bottom here, and they're kind of blind. You can take the pedal apart and get to it. It's a lot easier with the pedal adapter. I'm a little worried about this just because this plate is pretty, well, it's more narrow than the pedal adapter, but I think we'll make it work. I think it'll be fine. Screw gun helps make your life easier. You can use a little flat blade screwdriver to pull these pins out. I'm going to try and do that without pulling the wires out of the pin. So yeah, Peanut Workshop controller, 887s, 23 tooth gears, 23 tooth pinion gear. This also, I did drill out the first gear in the gearboxes and press in bearings. I'll eventually show a video how I do that. I do it with a drill press and kind of work my way up to the bearing size that we need. Now, when installing the variable pedal with our speed controller and you're using the original motor connections that come out of the gear selector, so out of the gears, you have wires, 2 wires from the pedal goes to the gear selector, and then the 4 wires out. You have power comes in too. So the 4 wires out of here that went to the stock motors, these 4 here, those are going to the speed controller to detect high, low, and reverse. So we're going to keep that hooked up the way it is. Now, in order for that to work, you do have to connect these 2 pins. It's going to be white to red in this case. So white is the positive, the 12 volts coming out of the speed controller, and then the red should be the power back to feed power to the motors originally, and then the orange will not be used. So we're going to check that with a meter real quick and make sure I'm right, that we're going positive here to the middle pin. How we're going to do that, we're going to take a meter. If you are doing these modifications and don't have some kind of multimeter, go pick one up from Harbor Freight. I don't know if you can still get them free, but if you can, the free one at Harbor Freight works just fine. So this pedal unpushed, we should have continuity between orange and red. Let's check that. I don't know if you can hear it beeping on the microphone, but it is beeping. We have 0.2, 0.1 ohms. That's perfect. So now we'll do that. We're going to press the pedal, and it goes away. Now we're going to switch to the other 2, red, white and red. Press the pedal, we have continuity. Release the pedal, no continuity. So that's what we're going to have to do. We have to short these 2 wires, middle to white. So white is the positive coming in, and red is the positive going out. And then the orange is used to short your motors. So don't connect the orange to the red. You are going to end up shorting your power supply. If you're using our controller, that's fine. We do have overcurrent protection on that 12 volts. So shouldn't cause any damage. Just try not to do it. All right, now we do have to disassemble this. We're going to pull this screw out and then pull this pedal off, pull the plunger switch out. Pulling these plunger switches out, there's 4 tabs on the bottom side. You press those in, kind of push it up, and work its way out. All right. One thing you always want to do before you hook this up to your controller, you want to route your wire the way it needs to go. So I am going to have to cut this, I'm pretty sure. So the bottom side of these pedals, there's a it comes out. These are Hall effect sensor pedals. I got to cut a chunk out here. Try to position these as close as possible to the original location. I assume that the manufacturer has thought about that. All right, here's our pedal adapter. We're going to install that on the pedal now. It comes with the screws to attach it to the pedal, and then to screw the pedal adapter to some kind of plastic. They're just standard self-tapping screws. Here it is, pedal adapter secured. It fits nicely in here. I mean, I designed the pedal adapter to fit this pedal, so it does fit pretty nicely. I like the way it turned out, and it makes the install a lot quicker. All right, Dremel tool. I'm gonna just start taking some material out here with the Dremel. Don't forget to wear safety glasses when you're cutting molten plastic. All right, there we go. We have removed enough material where this will press. I gotta make a little bit bigger notch up here for the cord to come through. That should work out pretty well. The cord's gonna come out here, stay out of the way. Should be able to position this once I have this block back pressed into the car. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut and strip. When using the Wagos, on the side, there is a marking telling you how far to strip it back. This is 13 millimeter. It's just the arrows with a number in it. Follow that, please. When I turn this on, it's going to detect a direction. So I need to disable the throttle pedal. I need to power it up and disable the throttle pedal quick. I have updated the software to enable the throttle pedal, so that'll make it so I can always have direction and not have it go without a throttle input. So the way it works, it comes default, so you need a throttle input for it to go, and you need a direction input. And you can toggle off throttle pedal, and then it'll go on a direction input. All right, so we don't need this wire running up there anymore. I'm gonna run this wire back here. Just leave it tucked in this mess here, and then we're gonna run our throttle pedal wire. That looks good. Yeah. First, I'm gonna remove the pins out of here. You can just take a screwdriver. There's a little tab. Little tabs in there. I don't know if that's you're gonna be able to see it. There's little tabs. You poke those tabs and you can pull the wire out. It's a lot easier to say that's how you do it than it is to do it. Got it. 3 wires out. Green is the throttle input. Red goes to 3.3 volts. Do not connect that to anything other than 3.3. And the black goes to the battery negative. So try not to connect that to anything other than those. Green for throttle, black battery negative, and red to 3.3 volts. You can cause damage to the microcontroller if you connect it to an incorrect input. For anyone who doesn't know, this is the first version of the Peanut Workshop speed controller. It used these cage clamp style clamp style terminal blocks. A few of them got broken, so you can see here my wife broke one doing this install. So that's why we changed to screw terminals. Those are a little bit more reliable. And then same with these lever connections. These are only good to like 40 amps. That's why we switched to the 65 amp version. We were having some melting issues. The boards could handle way more current than the connectors could. All right, so what we need battery negative here, the T, and the 3.3 volts. I'm gonna get that connected. Now on this version of the board, there was only one battery negative connection over here on the logic half of the board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this battery negative and run it up here to the main connections. Now I should be good. I am going to recommend you put some heat shrink on these. Make sure you can see what I'm talking about. Here's where we're at. So first thing, I didn't really inspect this installation. My wife did it. It did work, but I didn't really look at it. So these, if you're using the wire kit, there are two different lengths stripped. The ends on these hookup wires are stripped to two different lengths. They're already stripped to the right length on both ends. And she put the Wago end stripping, unless she cut these. She may have cut these and stripped them herself. I don't really know. I think she actually did cut them to length to make the wiring a little neater. But yeah, that's too much coming out. So don't have that much exposed wire coming out of your terminal blocks. And same with here, what I'm doing here. Good practice would be to put some heat shrink on that and shrink it. I'm probably going to do that. Let me just hook this up to a battery and test it, make sure everything's working. Reverse works. Forward low works. And forward high seems to work. So, we're successful there. Now let's just tidy everything up and put it back together. Grab some shrink tube to put on these terminals. Got some heat shrink tube on these. I picked a little bit too big of a diameter tubing, so just kind of pinched a little bit. If you do that, when putting this pedal in, what I do is I press it in all the way, and I kind of get it positioned where it looks like it's going to work. Make sure it's not getting caught on anything. And then put a screw in there. All right, it's screwed in. I did get 3 out of the 4 in. This screw right here is not gonna bite into anything. That's where the wire is under there anyways, so that's all right. 3 is more than enough to hold that in place. Route your wires nicely and start putting all the plastic back. Before I go any further, now that I kind of have everything put in place the way I want it, let me just double check that everything is still going. And it is not. I do not have reverse anymore. Let's pull that back apart. That's why I checked. Logging into the app right now would be the most convenient thing to do, but I see my issue. One of the wires pulled out over here as I was pulling on the wires. Oh, jeez. I think I caught my drill pulling it out of here before. One of the direction wires, the left minus here, pulled out. And that is the worst one to pull out because that's the broken terminal block. All right, I pressed down with a screwdriver on the broken tab for the terminal block and got it in. And just go ahead and make sure we have reverse now. And we do. All right, all directions. Anytime you're moving your wires around, please unplug it. So here it is. It is all upgraded. It has variable speed controller. This is going to be very reliable at 18 volts. Those motors are going to last forever with the bearings in the first gear. In the gearboxes, that should last a very long time. All right, if you didn't notice, I was using the back of a Gator as my workbench today, as the garage is pretty full. We have a lot going on. We have the Gravedigger in here. That's getting brand new designed speed controller. Can't see it, it's a little too dark. That's in here for that. The Jeep's in here because we're still trying to dial in those dual motor gearboxes, trying to get this thing going reliable. We run it for a little bit, and biggest issues are motors are loosening up because we're using adapters to put bigger motors than they were designed for in. We're getting that close to working pretty well though. This Gator, this was brand new. We got quite a few things planned for this. That'll be in an upcoming video. We had a skeleton driving that. Over here we got a couple McQueens. This McQueen's good. This has a speed controller in it. We didn't do a variable pedal. We just threw the speed controller in it, put 18 volts to the stock motors and let it go. And that's still what it's running. Just stock motors in here. 2 of them instead of 1. These come with one. These come with single gearbox from the factory, single 6 volts. So we'll put 2 12-volt gearboxes in. I think the next step is going to be those RS775 gearboxes with the bearings in them. That's our plan when these gearboxes go bad. This is the good McQueen. I got that all torn apart. We got it. It was all stock. We threw 18 volts at it, let it go until the motor's fried. Now it's time to put the big speed controller in it and big motors. All right, that'll be it. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something.